Have you ever stepped into an elevator and felt like you weren't alone? You know that feeling. Goosebumps prickle on your arms. The hairs on the back of your neck stand at attention. You glance over your shoulder, but there's no one there. Just your imagination, right? But what if the feeling was real? What if something was in there with you even when you couldn't see it? Tonight, we're diving into 3 spine-chilling true elevator horror stories. These stories come from real experiences, terrifying encounters that left people questioning their own reality, wondering if they'd ever step foot in an elevator again. So, next time you're in an elevator alone, remember, you might not be as alone as you think. Elevators are supposed to make life easier. A quick trip up or down, nothing more. But what if the doors close and something uninvited joins you? These 3 terrifying stories prove that sometimes. The real horror isn't what's outside the elevator, it's what's inside with you. If you love creepy true stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Now, let's begin. This story takes us to St. Vincent's Hospital, a sprawling complex of medical buildings with a history as long as its seemingly endless corridors. Our story centers on Daniel, a night shift janitor who'd worked at the hospital for almost 20 years. He'd seen it all, or so he thought. One Tuesday night, around 3 a.m., Daniel was finishing up his rounds. He pushed his cleaning cart down the deserted hallway, the squeak of the wheels, the only sound disturbing the sterile silence. He reached the service elevator at the end of the hall. It was an older model, one that still had that caged-in feeling with flickering fluorescent lights overhead. Daniel pressed the button for the basement, where the hospital stored old records and medical equipment. The elevator lurched into motion, the hum of its motor a familiar drone in the quiet. But this time something was different. The descent seemed longer than usual. The elevator shuddered, the lights flickered more violently, and a cold draft snaked around Daniel's ankles. Then the unthinkable happened. The elevator stopped. But not on a floor, it stopped between floors. Panic clawed at Daniel's throat. He jabbed at the button for the basement, then the lobby, then the emergency button. Nothing. He was trapped. He pulled out his phone to call for help, but the battery icon blinked red, dead. Just as despair threatened to engulf him, the elevator lurched back into motion. Down! Down it went, past the basement level, deeper and deeper into the earth. The air grew colder, heavy with a strange metallic scent. The lights dimmed further, casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls. Daniel felt a terror he'd never known, a primal fear that told him he was entering a place he was never meant to see. Finally, with a bone-jarring thud, the elevator stopped. The doors shuddered open, revealing nothing, just blackness, an abyss. And from that abyss, Daniel heard it, a low, guttural growl that seemed to vibrate the very air around him. Daniel didn't wait to see what made that sound. He slammed his fist on the door close button, his heart pounding against his ribs. The doors refused to budge. The growling grew louder, closer. Then, as if some unseen force had taken pity on him, the elevator lurched upwards. It shot up like a rocket, stopping abruptly on the lobby level. Daniel stumbled out, gasping for air, his skin clammy and cold. He never spoke of what he experienced that night, but he could never shake the feeling that he'd descended into the belly of the hospital, and something had watched him from the darkness. Our next story takes place in a bustling city, a place where anonymity often masks sinister intentions. Mia, a bright and ambitious university student, lived in a secure apartment building, her days filled with classes and her nights with studying. But one evening, her sense of security would be shattered. It was a Friday night, and Mia was returning home from the library. She was looking forward to a quiet weekend, catching up on some much-needed rest. As she entered her building, she noticed a man holding the door open for her. He was tall and lanky, with dark, intense eyes that lingered on her for a beat too long. Mia brushed off the encounter as she stepped into the elevator, pressing the button for her floor. Just as the doors began to close, a hand shot in, stopping them. It was the man from the lobby. He offered a nervous smile and stepped inside. Going up, he mumbled, avoiding eye contact. Mia felt a knot of unease tighten in her stomach. There was something off about him, something in his demeanor that set off alarm bells in her mind. The elevator ascended slowly, each floor passing in agonizing silence. Mia kept her eyes fixed on the rising numbers, her hand gripping her keys inside her bag. The man stood unnaturally still, his gaze fixed on a point somewhere behind her. When the elevator finally reached her floor, Mia practically leaped out, eager to escape the confined space. She glanced back to see the man watching her, that same unsettling smile playing on his lips. Mia hurried down the hallway to her apartment, her heart pounding in her chest. She fumbled with her keys, finally managing to unlock the door and slip inside. She breathed a sigh of relief, locking the deadbolt behind her. But as she turned to hang up her keys, her blood ran cold. Through the peephole, she saw him. The man from the elevator was standing at the end of the hallway, his eyes fixed on her door. He just stood there, unmoving, for what felt like an eternity. Fear coiled in Mia's stomach. She grabbed her phone and dialed the emergency services, her voice trembling as she reported the stalker. The police arrived quickly, but the man was gone. They searched the building, but he had vanished without a trace. Mia never saw the man again, but the memory of his haunting gaze and his silent vigil outside her door continued to haunt her, a chilling reminder that even in the most secure of places, danger can lurk just beyond the elevator doors. Our final story takes us to Lenox Grand, a historic hotel with a reputation for both elegance and unsettling occurrences. Michael, a seasoned business traveller, found himself checking into the Grand Hotel for a week-long conference. He'd heard whispers of the hotel being haunted, but he dismissed them as mere local folklore. He soon discovered that some legends are rooted in chilling reality. On his second night at the hotel, Michael returned from a late dinner meeting. He was tired and eager to get some rest. He stepped into the ornate elevator, its polished brass and dimly lit interior whispering of a bygone era. He pressed the button for his floor and waited. As the elevator began its ascent, the air grew noticeably colder. A shiver ran down Michael's spine, but he attributed it to the air conditioning. Just then, the lights flickered, plunging the elevator into momentary darkness. When the lights sputtered back on, Michael noticed her. Standing in the corner, barely visible in the dim light, was a woman. She was dressed in a long, flowing gown, her hair styled in an old-fashioned updo. But it was her face that chilled Michael to his core. Her skin was pale and translucent, her eyes hollow and vacant. She stared straight ahead, her expression one of profound sadness and longing. Michael stood frozen, unsure of what he was witnessing. He opened his mouth to speak, but no word came out. The elevator continued its upward journey, the silence broken only by the soft hum of the motor. As they approached Michael's floor, the woman turned her head slowly and looked directly at him. Her eyes met his, and in that instant, Michael felt a surge of icy dread. He stumbled back a step, his heart pounding in his chest. The elevator doors opened, and Michael practically leaped out, his eyes darting back to the corner where the woman had been standing. She was gone. Michael hurried to his room, his mind racing. He couldn't shake the image of the woman in the elevator. Her sorrowful eyes burned into his memory. The next morning, Michael inquired about the woman at the front desk. The clerk, an elderly man who had worked at the hotel for decades, listened intently to his story. When Michael finished, the clerk sighed and nodded knowingly. "Ah, you've seen her," he said, his voice low. "The lady in white. They say she was a guest here many years ago, a young woman who tragically lost her life in this very hotel." Michael learned that legend had it that the lady in white roamed the halls of the Lenox Grand, searching for something she'd lost. Some believed she was searching for a loved one, others for peace. Whatever the reason for her lingering presence, Michael knew he had encountered something truly unsettling, something that defied explanation. He left the Lenox Grand the next day, his business trip cut short. He couldn't shake the feeling that the eyes of the lady in white followed him, a haunting reminder of the secrets hidden within the walls of the grand old hotel. So the next time you step into an elevator, remember these stories. Take a look around. Consider for just a moment that you might not be alone. The flickering lights above you, the soft hum of the motor, the slow ascent or descent, it all takes on a new meaning when you think about what might be lurking in the shadows, riding alongside you. Until next time, keep the lights on.